guest today is Sele M'Poko, the writer, producer of an award-winning movie called John of God. That sounds a little blasphemous. Is there something lost in the translation?
Well, John of God in French is Jean de Dieu.
Okay.
And it's a pretty common name in the Congo. I think because of the history of the Congo, people during a certain era when their kids were born, they gave them godly names. So you see John of God, you see God-given, God-blessed, and all these type of names in a lot of the Congolese people.
Sele, is this a French movie?
It's a Congolese movie, but it's the story of an American who goes to the Congo. So there's a bit of French and Lingala and English. It's pretty international, but it's set in Kinshasa in the DRC.
Is it directed at an international audience?
Yes, yeah.
So give us a storyline, because it's a very interesting storyline. And listening to your American accent, I'm going to ask you where you got this accent from, because this is not Congolese, and nor is it South African.
Right, right. No, I'm half American, half Congolese. My father is Congolese. And though I grew up in Africa, I always went to American schools. So this is basically my mother accent. And then the film opens when it's about an American director who goes to the Congo to do a documentary about a guy named John of God. And he's a musician. And he's a complete narcissist. He calls himself God. That's why he gave himself that name. So it starts off when he gets the assignment. He asks his friend, do you know anything about the Congo? And the guy's like, the Congo? He says, rumble in the jungle, you know, it's Zaire. So it's really a part of our history that's even in the film.
Did you write this?
Yeah, yeah.
So you've written and produced it?
And directed.
And directed as well?
Yeah. Well,
and I'm going to ask you, what's the object of the project? Is this a great story, or did you want to bring to everybody's attention what happens in Zaire?
Well,
today,
I think
DRC?
The Congolese are hilarious. They're a funny population of people. When you're in Congo and hanging out with family, you laugh a lot over, you know, many different things, despite all the problems. So for once, I wanted to make a feel-good movie about the Congo, because most of the time you see sad stories and they're talking about all the terrible things that are happening there. And as a Congolese living outside, when you're looking for anything that comes from your home, and it's always depressing, after a while it's, you know, you want to show that there's more than that going on. And that was my goal in this film.
So you've shown that?
Yeah.
Is it a musical?
There's a lot of music in it. I wouldn't call it a musical.
Are you musical yourself?
A little bit, a little bit. There's the album that accompanies the film, and I appear on 2 songs. I rap on 2 of the songs. But I wouldn't call myself a musical.
Is this a movie made, you know, when you say Congolese are funny people, they like to laugh.
Yeah.
Is this a movie made in the French genre, or is it in the American genre of comedy?
You can say that because it is in a francophone country, and there's definitely that French and Belgian influence. You know, our lead, who plays a producer, the American gets to Congo, and he has a producer who's pretty inept. You know, he says he can do something, but he, you know.
That's pretty African.
Yeah. And so that's part of the comedy of eras. So I would call it a culture clash movie, because you have this American who arrives with his own images of what Africa is. And then you have the Africans who have their own image of what America is. So when the two come together, it's a comedy of eras, and that's kind of what I exploit. It's the clash between the two.
You've won a lot of awards for this movie.
Yeah, yeah. We've been to quite a few places, but we won in the US, we won in Spain, and we won in Italy at one of the top festivals.
And you're here at a festival in South Africa?
For the Durban Film Festival, yeah. Yeah.
Do they give you awards for that?
I think so. I think, you know, because for last year they had a winner, but I'm not sure exactly what the process is. I know they give a lot of media time towards South African films, But I'm just happy to be here because, you know.
Tell us about the movie industry in Kinshasa. And you can tell us about the music industry there as well, because having made a movie, I'm sure you're trying to project this to the rest of the world. You know, is it? I think Africa has always been, or always had an abundance of talent, still has an abundance of musical talent and acting talent, dancing talent.
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, you know, because of the situation, Congo is a failed state. There is no real industry.
Failed state.
Yeah, yeah. You know, when we made this movie, if the DOP had dropped the camera, we can't just go to some place and replace it. You know, there's no industry.
Yeah.
We had to do the post-production in the States. Most of the crew, the core crew, like the DOP, came from South Africa. Mm-hmm. And then we put people in to train them so they could see because they don't have any other access. And despite that, you have films being made. You have people that love the industry. The talent is there. And they work with what they've got. But we got a long way to go.
Can you do more, or do you intend doing any more?
Yeah. I'm working on the next project, and it's really exciting.
Which is? Can you share it with us?
It's called Black White Man. It's about an American missionary, always this theme because I'm half-half, in 1890, who goes to the Belgian Congo. It's actually, at the time, it's called the Congo Free State, when it was ruled by King Leopold. So
Belgium,
this story is about this man's adventures as he arrives in the Congo and sees what's going on.
So a historical novel, any music to it?
Yeah, well, there will be music. There'll be traditional music. There'll be music from the turn of the century, before the 20s.
Where do you get the backing? Where do you get the support to do this? Particularly in a country like Congo, where I would imagine they don't have an industry to support you, or the...
Yeah, no, it was the making of John of God was, you know, when I look back on it, it's kind of a miracle because, like you said, there's no industry. And I was able to raise all of the money in the Congo. I shot a pilot, and then I went around to different businesses, and I said, okay, I'm making this film. If you want to be in it, this is what it's going to cost. So I was able to get money for sponsorship and product placement. And then a few private investors came in when they saw the momentum, and we just kept going until the end. It was really exciting.
Do you think you could start a whole industry there?
I think so, because there's so many stories.
Yeah.
There are so many stories to tell and that haven't been told. I feel like Hollywood is saturated. They're retelling the same stories over and over. Yeah, and there's so many stories.
And the actors?
And the actors, brilliant.
Natural?
Just natural talent.
Trained at all, or just
they were
in front of a
trained. Some of them were trained. The guy that I brought from the States is a trained actor. He also was in the theater for many years. It was a great break for him, and the guy was incredible. We had to shoot. There was a scene. We had 15 minutes to get the scene in, and he got it. I mean, he did it. First take. Okay, change. First take. Let's do a follow-up. And it was a real pleasure to see it come to life from the page, because they understood the characters. They were even saying to me, wow, how do you understand this character so much? I said, well, as long as you get it, don't worry about me. And they were great, absolutely.
And you said John of God, is that an actual musician, or is this just a made-up character?
No, he's a made-up character that represents that guy who just thinks he's all that, but he actually isn't, you know. And that was one of the taglines, the world's greatest musician in his own mind. But there's also a whole movement behind it. You know, I can reference Muhammad Ali calling himself pretty. But right around that era...
But he had talent, I mean...
But he had talent, exactly. Yeah. And right around that era in the Congo, there was this movement called La Sap. If you've heard of Papa Wemba, he's a musical icon that just passed away recently. But when he was young, he started this movement of men dressing very well and modeling their clothes, but on an everyday basis. It was a form of rebellion because they were told that they cannot dress European. So they went haute couture European, and you see them dressing
Over the
in
top.
these, over the top with colors and stuff. And if you were a musician in the Congo, you'd have to be part of this movement, and the whole competition would be who has the best dress. And you'd have to be able to talk about it and show your labels. So John of God is a sapeur. And there's
Is this
also
a tribute in some way?
it's a tribute to the whole rebellious movement as part of the music. So what I did is I took a guy named King Kester, who was the best at talking about how good he looked and how well he dressed, and that's who John of God is kind of loosely based on. But I incorporated elements from all the different musicians, and I made one character just to show.
Sele, we're
the
going to have to
industry.
wrap up here. It's very interesting listening to your story. Really hope that this is a success and that leads to more success. I mean, just seeing what Hamilton's done on Broadway, I just think there's so many stories that haven't been told about that era. I know that you're going to tell one now soon in your new movie and that. But we wish you all the best with this movie. I'd love to listen to the soundtrack. I think African music stands out.
Yeah, you can get the soundtrack. It's on iTunes. If you just look up John of God, the movie soundtrack, it's there.
I believe that stands out as really being one of the features of this movie, is the
Yeah,
soundtrack
and
the
it's an
musicians and that.
eclectic. You have African hip hop. You have La Rumba, which comes from the Congo. You have a bit of Afro funk that comes out of Nigeria, and then you've got American hip hop. So it's a nice eclectic album.
And where can we see John of God?
Well, it's playing this Friday at New Metro in the Westville Pavilion in Durban. It's also playing on the 26th at the same location. And it'll be playing at the Durban Film Festival. So if you look it up online, you can see the program there and come out, have a lot of fun. And for once, leave a theater after seeing a movie about the Congo with a smile.
We'll feel good.
Yeah, yeah.
But Sele, thank you. Thanks for being with us. All the very best for John of God.